Donald Trump responded to Russia invading Poland's airspace by giving an ultimatum not to Vladimir Putin, but to NATO. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. For years, the right has criticized the Democratic presidents for being too passive and deferential in their approach to foreign policy. And there was one phrase in particular they really loved.
This is what we call leading from behind. If you can call it leading at all.
The lead from behind foreign policy.
We're not going to be leading from behind anymore.
The book called Leading from Behind.
Remember, he said, I want to lead from behind. He said, well, let's pull out.
He never said, I want to lead from behind.
This is leading from behind.
What does leading from behind mean? It sounds like something out of a weird book of sexual positions called the Maga Sutra. Honey, I was thinking to spice things up tonight, maybe a little role play. I could be Obama and lead from behind. No? Okay, well, hold on. There's another move here called drill, baby, drill. Wait, where are you going? I cannot impress upon you how much they loved this dumb phrase. They used it constantly, even for the smallest and most inconsequential stories.
Well, for Americans living in Indonesia, the 4th of July came early this year. The United States Embassy there rescheduled America's Independence Day from the 4th of July to the 4th of June. Oh, and it's all out of respect for Ramadan. They also combined the theme here. They're saying the theme on this day was also Go Green. What happened to the 4th of July? It's now moved and now we're celebrating clean energy?
This administration seems to have lost its way and lost the entire concept of what makes America great.
Is this an example in your mind of leading from behind and really not stepping forward to speak up for the traditions?
Can I just say that personally, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I don't give a when Americans living in Indonesia celebrate Independence Day. What I care about is Americans living in Australia who have to celebrate Christmas in the summer. December is the middle of their summer, so if you even try to roast chestnuts, everybody's like, I might. What is might? Summer Christmas changes everything, even Santa. Over there, they call it the Christmas crock, and instead of riding a magical sleigh pulled by reindeer, he rides a surfboard pulled by dingoes. Or maybe not, it's just that's all my writers know about Australia. The point is, Republicans love this phrase, and when Trump became president, they declared that the era of leading from behind was over.
The goal is to reassert American leadership around the world and to reassure our allies, our partners, and our friends that America is back. We are jettisoning this idea of leading from behind.
Okay, but according to my copy of the Maga Sutra, when America is back, that's step one to leading from behind. Where does Trump find these cartoon characters? How is it possible that all of his aides look and sound like they're auditioning for the Legion of Doom? Democrats are so overly cautious about every little association and so desperate to appear mainstream, they'll throw anyone under the bus who isn't a cardboard cutout of a poll-tested, focus-grouped stock photo of a politician. Meanwhile, Trump hires ridiculous goons, and not only that, puts them on TV. Mr. President, we need someone to defend our foreign policy on Fox News. Should we send the Secretary of State? No, send the guy who sounds like he's about to torture James Bond. Anyway, point is, Trump and the GOP spent years whining that Democrats were supposedly leading from behind and have now declared that America will be setting the world's agenda. No more waiting for other countries to act. America acts first, and other countries follow us. You got that, world?
President Trump posted a letter online today saying he's ready to impose sanctions on Russia, but not until, quote, all NATO nations have agreed and started to do the same thing.
I am ready to do major sanctions on Russia when all NATO nations have agreed and started to do the same thing, and when all NATO nations stop buying oil from Russia. I am ready to go when you are. Just say when.
I thought America was back, and now you'll only act if everyone else does it first? Trump's using the same logic for American foreign policy that 8th graders use for smoking pot in the local school parking lot. I'll do it first if you do it first. No way, man, you first. Okay, let's do it at the same time. I'm ready to go when you are. Just say when. Also, I have to ask about this part of Trump's post. I am ready to go when you are. Just say when. If NATO does as I say, the war will end quickly. If not, you are just wasting my time and the time, energy, and money of the United States. Why does the President of the United States write with the uneven grammar and syntax of a scammer sending you a fake job listing? Hello, I am Sergey from Indeed, writing to offer you a work-from-home job. Do you have your resume? I am ready to go when you are. Just say when. Please respond, otherwise you are just wasting my time. The deadline is Independence Day, AKA the 4th of June. Also, buddy, what do you mean they're wasting your time? What else do you do all day? From what I can tell, you mostly just golf and ramble about renovating the White House.
Right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, and I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely.
The one thing I'm willing to concede Donald Trump knows more about than I do is construction, and yet every time he gets a chance to talk about it, he sounds like one of my kids. Do you see the trucks? Look at the trucks. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom, and if you don't believe me, just ask the trucks. And I'm sorry, but all the that needs fixing in America are roads, bridges, airports, tunnels, trains, buses, electrical grid, broadband network. The first thing you're working on is your ballroom at the White House. So when I'm stuck on the F train in between stations and the AC is off and people are fainting, I can turn to my fellow passengers and say, don't worry, they used the money on a new ballroom at the White House. That's where Eric Trump's gonna have his first communion. And again, when I say I'm stuck on the F train, I mean one of my riders. They get stuck on the F train all the time, and they use that time to not Google facts about Australia. Now, all this sanction talk ramped up because Russia invaded Poland's airspace with drones, a dangerous incursion given that Poland is a NATO ally. But don't worry, the president reassured everyone and put our minds at ease.
What's your reaction to Russian drone incursion into Poland? It could have been a mistake. Could have been a mistake, but regardless, I'm not happy about anything having to do with that whole situation. But hopefully it's going to come to an end.
What do you mean, hopefully? I thought you were going to end the war on day one and win the Nobel Peace Prize. Now you're talking in vague generalities like a dad whose daughter is dating a biker who did donuts on your front lawn. As for the donuts, it might have been a mistake. I don't know. Also probably a mistake that he was screaming, you old man, while giving me the finger. I'm not happy about anything having to do with the whole situation. Hopefully it's gonna come to an end. He's gonna be my new son. Also, if it was a mistake, it'd be nice if Putin himself came out and said that, because believe me, I'm all for de-escalation when it comes to nuclear powers. I would love it if we had a president who actually pursued serious diplomacy and got Putin himself to come out and reassure the world after encroaching on NATO airspace and threatening global conflict. Instead, we have a president who's less concerned with the boundaries of NATO than he is with the boundaries of the White House ballroom. We're gonna put it over here next to the Lincoln Memorial, and we're gonna modify the memorial to add a water fountain and a koi pond. Oh, here come the trucks. Trump clearly has no answer for Putin's aggression. When he was asked about it on Fox, he pivoted to bragging about his role in other conflicts that have nothing to do with Russia.
What are you going to do about President Putin? Because we just saw these drones in Poland.
Yeah, well,
more
Poland
sanctions.
Thing, I mean, I'm not going to defend anybody, but the Poland's, they were actually knocked down and they fell into an area. But you shouldn't be close to Poland anyway.
Right.
So I solved, as you know, 7 wars. 7. I did so many, including Pakistan and India, but big ones. Some were unsolvable. Azerbaijan and Albania. It was going on for many, many years. I had the prime ministers and presidents in my office. They sat so far apart. One chair was there, one chair was there. I said, fellas, get together, come on. I say, let's hug and make up. And anyway, we solved the problem.
And I don't know about you, but the Albania-Azerbaijan conflict was really keeping me asleep at night. And look, I don't want to make light of wars, but maybe one of the reasons so many people called that one unsolvable because there is no conflict between Albania and Azerbaijan. In fact, if you're a student of geography, you might always know they're really far away from one another. In fact, they're as far apart as the imaginary chairs were in Trump's story.
They sat so far apart. One chair was there, one chair was there.
Maybe that was the issue. They were so far apart they couldn't hear one another. Albania was like, why are you mad at us? And Azerbaijan was like, you're mad at us? And Albania was like, no, you're mad at us. Turns out Trump was confusing Albania with Armenia because they both start with an A. Now, at this point, I'm just glad Trump didn't use an A name closer to home. Azerbaijan is going to war with Arizona folks. They're invading Scottsdale. They're invading Scottsdale as they speak. They want Arizona's most valuable natural resource, their iced tea. They want it because it comes in the big can. Diplomacy is good, de-escalation is good, but you can't have either without competence and leadership, and those are just not Trump's strong suits. He's just not qualified to be the president of this country, the United States of
Albania.
This has been A Closer Look.